This is activity W2P4, and the plan is ignoring all dimension, try to create an assembly like that and put it together. Okay, so it's a fairly straightforward problem. The parts are very easy, but I also, in making the part, I also want to show you how this thing that's called multi-instantiation works, because there are four wheels which are identical and two axles which are identical. Therefore, there's no need to go and make them one by one. So first thing that we're going to do is here's my product file. I'm going to save it in that folder that I'm interested in. So file, save management. You see save as. You see I have a folder here which is yep, right there. So this is going to go in there, and anything else that I do is going to go in there for this particular problem. Now let's do the frame first. Insert a new part in there. So that's chassis, frame of the car. Properties, I'll call it frame and frame. Say okay, let's go make it. Double click on it. On that vertical plane, I will sketch. Why don't I make something nice and symmetric? So I use a centered, what is that, centered rectangle to make something like that. This is going to be chassis. And then I'm going to make a circle on this side. That's where front axle is going to go. And I mirror this thing with respect to that vertical axis. So let me find the mirror that with respect to this, and exit, and then pad it symmetrically. So let's make this thing 40. So there is the chassis of the car. Okay. Now go on the top and make the axle front. For example, front axle or rear axle. It really doesn't matter. So so insert, new part. I'll call it axle. Right click properties, axle, and axle. So say okay. Let's go make it. Double click on that. Because I'm trying to use symmetry as much as possible, I use the YZ plane, and on it, why don't I project that circle? Project that circle, and then say okay. Notice that it projected there, and I'm going to pad this thing. Exit, and I'm going to pad this thing. Mirror extend means in both directions. Let me see if I can pull this thing out. Yeah, that's good. All right, so there's my axle. Now the other one, go all the way to the top. First of all, let's save everything. The other one looks just like that. Okay, just like that. So what I can do is use this icon called multi-instantiation. Let me pull this thing out so you can see it better. And it's right here. There's something called define multi-instantiation. The other one is fast multi-instantiation. So let me do multi-instantiation. It says how many do you want? I want two things, and spacing really doesn't matter. So two things. Let me make it 500 so I can see it better. And in what direction? Let's line it up in this direction, Y. Oops. But what is it that I want to instantiate? I want to instantiate the axle there. Now that's going to give me actually three of them by the look of it. So I'll make one. So notice that immediately I got a copy of this thing over there. Okay. Now let's do the wheel. By the way, there are no constraints. If I move this thing out, it's going to move out, and there are no constraints here yet. So we go all the way to the top, insert new part, say no, I'll call it wheel, properties wheel, wheel, and wheel. Okay. All right. And let's go make it. Double click on a convenient plane. On that plane, I'll sketch. Why don't I project that? In case I want it to be that size. So I'll project that circle. There we are. Where is the normal view? Right there. And let's do the rest of the wheel. Here's the wheel. Let's make sure that these are actually concentric. That circle control this circle. Are they concentric? Yeah, they seem to have been concentric. Okay. Exit and then pad it. I'll make it 15 or maybe 10. Skinny. It's a skinny wheel. Now, I need 4 of these, or actually 3 of these. Okay. So what I do is I go all the way to the top, all the way to the top, and do a instantiation. There's the fast one. There's the one that you have more control on. Click on it. So I want 3 of them. And the thing that I want is the wheel. And the way I want it to be lined up is in the Y direction. So that's easier to see. Right there. Okay, good. So all the way to the top, say, oops, click on the floppy. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Let's move things, first of all, let's move things close to each other, closer to each other. So I'm going to use the move. Let me see now. Move in the Y direction and X direction. Okay, so let's move these things in the X direction so that we can see it better. And Y direction. All right, good. So here's the situation. Let me also move this fellow out. I forgot to do that guy. Move this thing in the X direction. Okay, very good. Why don't we fix something? For example, the frame. So the frame we're going to anchor. Okay. Now, I want to put this thing inside of that hole. So coincidence between this axis and the axis here, it's already, because I translated it, there's nothing to update. And another coincidence between this plane, which is the middle plane of that axle, and that guy. So fine. Let's do the same thing with this fellow. So coincidence between this axis and that axis, and coincidence between the middle plane of this axle and the frame right there. Now let's do the wheels one by one. There are more efficient ways of doing it, but it's not worth the effort at this level. So this and that, and coincidence between this plane and that plane, for example. That looks good. Same thing, you have to do 4 times. This axis and that axis, and this plane and, oops, coincidence between this plane and that plane. Okay, turn around, do it with the other ones. Coincidence between the axis of this and the axis of that, and coincidence between, for example, that plane and this plane. And the last one is over here. This axis and, where's the other guy? That axis, and coincidence between this plane and that plane. And let's save everything. All right. So let's check our constraints. For example, remember this is fixed, right? Yeah, so the frame the frame is fixed. That's fine. Now let's move things around. For example, I'm going to rotate that fellow and this fellow the rotation there, or something like this. That axis, this, and this. If I say update, they should go back to where they belong, and they do. So that takes care of this tutorial.